The arrest of a Dixon man calls into question First Amendment rights for some attorneys. His defense leans on free speech to criticize data centers, but authorities say an alleged threat crossed the constitutional line.
A Lee County nonprofit led by a former state lawmaker advertised hundreds of acres of land just outside of Rock Falls as an opportunity for a data center. In an exclusive report, Nathaniel Langley digs into an arrest centered on that potential development that's getting national attention.
Mike, Sydney, we've got quite the saga here, even without confirmation of a data center actually coming to Lee County. What started as social media posts quickly spiraled into a courtroom miracle, though. The defense and prosecution finding common ground.
Look at this radish Emily found in the garden.
Harley Delander purchased a home in Dixon last year with his fiance.
Part of our plans with this house is to nativify our backyard, remove invasive plants.
The 28-year-old shares his appreciation for nature on his TikTok. But one recent post hit a nerve.
These punks right here came by because I'm trying to organize a community protest against a...
Dixon police arrested Delander May 27th on charges of intimidation and stalking.
I made an event on Facebook trying to organize the community to get together. And what's your badge number?
Earlier that day, Delander posted on Facebook the home address of Tom Demmer, a former state representative who leads the Lee County Industrial Development Association. The nonprofit listed nearly 400 acres on the Lee-Whiteside County line as a prime spot for data center development.
I'm a very strong critic of development.
Police allege Delander put safety at risk by targeting Demmer and the possible data center. One Facebook comment called for a protest at Demmer's home. Delander also allegedly emailed the well-known Republican, claiming if a data center comes to town, Delander will make it his mission to drive Demmer out of the community.
This case is extraordinarily important because it raises First Amendment issues.
James Murdis represents Delander. The civil rights attorney argues his client's First Amendment rights allow him to criticize data centers.
Whether you agree or disagree with data centers, whether you agree or disagree with that call for protest, that calls for peaceful protest are always protected.
The First Amendment protects all sorts of speech. It does not protect threats of violence. It does not.
Lee County State's Attorney Charles Boonstra says the TikTok of the arrest garnered unwanted attention for the case.
What we've seen moving past that clip has been nothing short of threats of violence towards police officers.
Those reported threats intensified after Delander's arrest appeared on the far-right internet show Alex Jones Live.
There's been harassment of telecommunicators, our 911 folks, and just calling in on the non-emergency line and just saying awful things towards law enforcement.
That alleged harassment, however, does bring the prosecution and defense together on one point.
What's happening around our country right now, I think it's important to discuss that peaceful protest is absolutely something our democracy needs.
This is an extremely important moment, and we all have to try to get it right, don't we?
Considering the case is ongoing, Delander couldn't directly respond to his charges.
Wanting to keep your community safe, your electricity cheap, your water clean, I don't think there's anything extremist about caring about your community.
In a statement sent to us, Demmer refused to discuss the case, but would talk about the data center. He said if a proposal is made in the future, the public could weigh in.
I'm not going to keep quiet. I will keep talking about data centers. The thing is, we just have to make sure that we're doing it the right way.
The data center opportunity on Demmer's nonprofit website now takes you to an error page. The state rep reiterated also there are no proposals on the table in Lee County.
Thank you, Nathaniel. Dixon's police chief also offered a statement on the case.
Chief Ryan Bivens said the arrest was based on threats toward an individual and his family, and the Dixon Police Department supports the First Amendment and right to protest.